financial markets, cryptocurrency, gold and silver, world news.
Fair to say you simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally, and we do that by buying treasury bills. That actually increases the money supply.
Financial turmoil explained.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you guys here. Today is Thursday, the 2nd of June, 2022. Thank you for tuning in. Now, let's get started. I want to talk about something. I may have gave you guys a wrong impression on the last show that I did. I talked about how over here in North America and in the United Kingdom and in Australia, I said that I don't expect there to be no food. I expect there to be food, except at what price? Well, I might have given you guys a little bit of the wrong impression. And the reason why is, yes, I expect food deliveries to continue. But I do expect shortages in the stores here in North America, in the United Kingdom, and Australia. Maybe you're not going to get the product you're looking for, but there is a problem with all this. Is as these food shortages occur, and as possibly they'll put restrictions on the amount of food that you can buy, it might be rationing on things like sugar. There might be rationing on things like gasoline. There might be rationing on things like bread. Like you might say you're only allowed 2 loaves of bread or whatever. As these things start to be implemented, and the government always tries to fix things, and how the government will try to fix it is by wage and price controls, specifically price controls on things like food and also rationing. They're very likely to turn to rationing again like they did in World War II. But here's the thing, guys. We've got a society that's grown up under a 40-year credit binge. And people have got used to always being able to have what they want when they want to have it. Here in North America, anyway. Now, when the people start to come under these draconian measures caused, because all this stuff is being caused by the ones who are in charge, because they're in charge and they should run things smoothly, but things are not being run smoothly, and this is why we don't have enough diesel fuel to go around. This is why a lot of these things are happening, because the ones in charge are, I would say they're idiots or whatever, but I don't think so. I think they're doing it like, I just don't know. But at any rate, it's their fault. That's whose fault it is. But when the people start to get under these draconian measures and not have what they always have had all their lives, they get upset. And what might end up happening is the people themselves might end up exacerbating the situation and making things a whole lot worse. So that in certain areas, maybe, there might not be any food here in North America in certain areas. Because the people might go into something called civil unrest, and they might break down the just-in-time delivery chain because of the unrest that they cause, and it might yield no food over goodness knows how big of an areas. And why I'm saying this is we already seen what can happen, what could happen. Let's just put it this way. Let's call it the potential of what angry people can do here in Canada. And not that long ago, during the crisis that occurred when we had a massive, here in Canada, protests. And during these protests here in Canada, I noticed what happened was they blocked the roads off. Coming in and out of Canada. They blocked the roads off. Trucks couldn't get through. Trucks were there for a while. They couldn't get through. Now the percentage of people here in Canada that was blocking the roads off and stuff was only a very, very minuscule small percent of the people here in Canada. Most of the people here in Canada were just sitting at home watching it on TV. But what if a situation occurs where it's not a small percentage of the people that is causing the riots or whatever, maybe not riots, maybe I used the wrong word, causing the civil unrest? What happens when it's not just a small amount or a small percentage? What happens when it's maybe even the majority? What happens then? Well, all the roads would be just blocked right off. Trucks couldn't get through, and everything would just, basically, we could have a situation where, yes, there is no food, because the food can't get in. It can't get to the grocery store. It can't get from point A to point B. And you got to prepare for that. And if you want to call that an SHTF, well, that's fine. You can call it whatever you want. But we almost seen the beginnings of that happening here in Canada. And, yes, the situation did not spiral out of control here in Canada. Draconian measures were taken so that the situation did not spiral out of control. But in this situation where it's only a small percentage that draconian measures were taken against, what happens when it's a large percentage of the population? Then it's a totally different situation. And so for me to say, hey, you know what, we're going to have food through this crisis, I can't say that, because even here in North America, it depends on what the people do and how it reflects upon the people. Because, it's the people who are the real power out there, is with the people, because they represent the majority by like 99.9%. And they're a silent majority, and normally they remain silent, and in some cases, so when they don't have enough to eat, then they could get really upset and really nasty really quick. And I'm talking about the majority of the population. And when that happens, run for the hills. That's basically all I can say. But at the same time, they could cause a situation where the supplies that are left aren't able to get to the stores. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Anyway, a long way of saying it. But we're headed toward that kind of a situation because there's not enough food to go around now. The world's being mismanaged on a massive scale. And it almost seems like it's organized mismanagement. At any rate, let's get started. Let's get the charts open right here and take a look at these markets today. We're taking a look at silver, and silver's bouncing to the upside right now at $22.25. It's up 44 cents on the day, which is a nice little leap up in price. Now, I told you guys that these markets were going to stabilize. I told you the exact day they stabilized, and they have stabilized to a degree. Now I'm telling you guys that the instability is going to come back soon in the markets. In other words, the heavy volatility is going to come back very soon. We're on the edge. We're on the cusp of the heavy volatility coming back. They are doing the quantitative tightening. They are doing the 50 basis points interest rate hikes, the Fed. And until they stop this, these markets are not going to go up from here. It just is not going to happen as long as the Fed's doing what they're doing. And, there could come, and I've talked about this before, a fear trade into gold and silver. When the real fear starts to come into these markets, and the next downturn is when the real fear is going to start to come in. And it very well could translate into a fear trade into gold and silver. It could happen that way. Or, I'm not sure about that, though. And that's something I haven't been sure about for years. I've known about this situation, been talking about it for years. And it's something that you cannot say for a certainty that they'll turn to gold and silver. They just as easily could start to dump gold and silver too during this situation. But my tendency is to think that when it really gets bad, when the situation really gets dire with the financial system over the next few months, my tendency is to think that they're going to clean out all the physical. All the physical metal is going to get cleaned out at a certain point. And we're looking at a silver price 23. That doesn't mean the paper price here couldn't even go down. It could go all the way to zero. Look at what they did to oil when they went negative $40 on oil. They could do the same thing on these. They could take them all the way to zero. But that doesn't mean you're going to be able to buy silver for that. Forget that. Premiums will probably go through the roof. You know? So there's a separation between real metal and this fake phony stuff. Gold's up $22 at 1869. Cryptocurrencies today. And we're looking at a Bitcoin price of 30,028. Let me refresh the page. 29,962. So can't lift off right yet for crypto. There's going to be a liftoff on crypto. And I think it's going to coincide with the Fed pivot, which is coming pretty soon. I've estimated that the Dow Jones is probably going to be down under 30,000 when the Fed finally pivots back. I don't think it's going to go under 20,000 before the Fed does their pivot. So somewhere in there, somewhere in the 20s, I think the Fed's going to change directions and they're going to forget about the quantitative tightening. That'll be no more. They'll be back. I'm not going to say they'll go back to quantitative easing, but they might go back to quantitative easing and not call it quantitative easing. They might do it hidden and not even announce that they're doing it. Do it somehow that we don't even know that they're doing it. You know, because that's something that you just can't stop. Once you start all these modern monetary theory, you got to keep going with it because you create bubbles, asset bubbles in the system. And you got to keep these asset bubbles pumped up once they're big, once these asset bubbles are fat. And right now, they're bursting all the bubbles. All the bubbles are being bursted right now. They're going to have to step in at a certain point because when a bubble bursts, it doesn't know where to stop. It's like, you ever seen somebody chewing bubble gum, you know, and they're going along and they're blowing a big bubble? When it pops, it just, the whole thing completely deflates. And it does it fast. See, it takes time to blow it up. It takes time. But when it pops fast. And we're on the edge of the Fed popping all the bubbles in the entire system. Right on the edge of that. They don't realize it. But they're creating a downturn in the financial economy that they might not even be able to control once they get it going. And they think they're scared of inflation. They don't realize the kraken that they're unleashing. They don't realize the power of what they're of the monster that they're letting out of the cage at this point, you know. Let's get on. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones today. It's down 149 points. Down 217. The volatility, like I say, is going to begin again soon. And the reason why is because of quantitative tightening. Don't realize the power of quantitative tightening. You're draining money out of the system. This system doesn't function that way, by the way. You can't drain $100 billion a month out of the system. The only thing that propped this whole system up to begin with was cheap, easy money. You take the cheap, easy money away, what do you think's going to happen? It's an absolute no-brainer. I mean, that's the easiest forecast I've ever made. You know, and here we're on the precipice right now. Look at this market. Look how it's turned down from 36,000. And right now, just look at it. We're on the precipice right now of something huge. Let's take a look now at the crude oil. Crude oil just keeps going up, 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 up. $116, what you pay for a barrel of oil, that's going to translate to the pumps. You know, in the system, too, it can't function with really extremely high crude oil prices. That's extremely high crude oil prices, translating to the pumps and gasoline prices, will basically stall the economy on its own. People won't go anywhere. People start to, it really adversely affects their incomes. They don't have any extra money for other things. They have to cut back. Once they get in the mood of cutting back, people really cut back big. Consumer spending will drop off a cliff. Here we go, boys. Let's take a look now at the move index today, 109.38. Now we're going to take a look at bonds and rates. And we're seeing a mixed bag today in bonds, but we're looking at a U.S. 10-year at 2.92, and we're looking at a U.S. 30-year at 3.08. Gotta watch this debt market really closely right now. I believe that there's volatility coming to this, and we could see quite rapid moves in this debt market. I'm watching for that. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm watching for that. Especially what I'm watching very closely for is if it moves, if like the 10 years, what I'm watching most closely, and if it moves down rather rapidly or moves up rather rapidly, the yields, that would be a huge signal, a very, very bad signal. Watching that very carefully, that U.S. 10-year. It's at 2.92 right now. And we're going to finish up with the U.S. dollar index with a dollar at 102.01. Okay, guys, this has been your market report for today. Remember, you need to start prepping if you haven't prepped. Listen, for you guys in my audience that haven't prepped, it's really simple to do. If you got a house, most of you do, clean out one of your closets is what I'd recommend. And you probably got a bunch of junk in there, old tennis rackets and sewing yarn and all kinds of junk in there. Clean all that junk out of your closet. And take and get some bottled water, get a medical kit, get some canned food, get some munchy type foods, put away maybe in there, put everything you need in there, everything you want. If you thought to yourself, hey, what if the grocery stores have all been raided? The front windows on the grocery stores are all smashed, and there's nothing inside the aisles anymore because a whole horde of hungry people have went in there and taken everything out and cleaned it, and there's no more trucks going to bring any more in, new fresh stuff in. And the grocery store's basically closed because it's been ransacked by an angry mob. My local grocery store. And what if I drive to the other side of town, the same things happen to the other grocery store, and both of most grocery stores that are available to me, and the gas pumps are all closed, so I can't drive any further than that, and my food sources are gone. What am I going to do? Well, you can turn to your closet, and you got your bottled water there, you got your canned food there, you got your other food that you've bought for yourself there, you got your medical kit, and things that you need there to keep your life running. But what about these people out there who just buy their food as they need it each day? They buy the food they need for that one day. What about all of them? And there's a lot of them out there, people out there that they don't have any extra food ahead or water. Do you know you cannot live more than 48 hours without water? 48 hours. That's just 2 days. So what are you going to do if you wake up some morning and there is no water? The tap, you go turn the tap on, the electricity's off, and the tap won't run. Or brown gooey water comes out of it because the city has turned on their emergency generating system, and it's pumped dirty water through the pipes, and maybe everything's closed, the gasoline, everything, you can't get gasoline, the power's out. You can't even get news. You don't even know what happened. You just woke up that morning and your phone was dead. Well, not dead. I mean, the power come on your phone, but you couldn't make reception to a phone service or to an internet connection on your phone. You tried your internet in your house, and it was just basically turned off. The internet was off. It doesn't work. The power's down. Everything you try, the only thing that works is your generator, but you've only got one little can of gas, and it's going to run out pretty soon. And you don't know what's happened. You can't get news. What is it? What caused this? Right? If you're a person that only keeps one day of food, no water or anything in your house, what are you going to do? Where are you going to get some water to drink? Are you going to take the lid off the back of your toilet and there's maybe a little bit of water in there? But, I mean, you're in dire straits. Because you don't have any water and you don't have any food at all. Now, you got your closet full of stuff. It's going to last you a while. At least until you can find out what the heck's going on. And this is another reason why it's not a bad idea to have a little battery radio. I got one. It runs off of 2 AA batteries. And it's got all of the shortwave on it and everything. It's got AM, FM, and all the shortwave bands and weather bands. And it's got about 6 different bands on it. And an old-fashioned tuner on it. And so that'd be my first go-to. You don't know what's going on. First go-to would be to go to that radio and try to tune in and find out what in the heck's happened. Because news would be, the internet's down. Picture the internet's down. Your phone can't get any reception either. Nothing. And you don't know what's going on, along with everybody else in your neighborhood. Doesn't know what happened. What happened? Our system just went dead. And I mean, it could be anything. There's so many things. I can't even list them all right now that could cause that to happen. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the very next show. Bye-bye.